So I was having a conversation with a friend about the whole entire Shannon Sharpe situation. And that person I was having a conversation with, they also agreed with me that yes, this does seem like a cash grab. More than likely that it is. That it's very rare that a young 19-year-old woman or 20, 22, I don't know how old she is. That's the part I'm still kind of unclear of. But either way, let's say 19 to 22-year-old woman who is still getting started off in life, it's not going to turn down a $10 million settlement to go away. Now, earlier I looked up how much Shannon Sharpe was worth to offer $10 million, and it shows that he was only worth at the time $14 million. However, that was also pending the negotiation deals he had going on for his $100 million podcast that he most likely lost at this point, or is on an indefinite hold, like most people like to say when you're terminated but not really there, or there's lost interest in you. So when it comes to this whole entire situation, Shannon Sharpe was warned by multiple people. Here, let's go ahead and go over what Katt Williams said to Shannon Sharpe. Give me one moment.
Get with a white woman because I was scared she might have me running down the street like Jonathan
There
Majors.
you go. Come on, Katt.
Not because I didn't like white women. I think white women are as great as any other women. But I'm not going to act like I'm not scared of them. I have a reason to be scared. You could be Kang the Conqueror, and they could take your rabbit ass down in 2 weekends.
Now, I'm not going to go over the history of white women tears and how they have destroyed plenty of communities when it comes to Black America or even started wars. But there is a more recent situation where this woman called a little kid, supposedly a 5-year-old kid, Black kid that has autism, the N-word, and now has over $500,000 raised in a platform similar to GoFundMe. I forgot the exact name of it. So that was warning number one. Now, at this particular time, Shannon was dealing with this woman. Unfortunately, that young, naive woman was thinking, and I really do feel this, that she was the only one that was dealing with Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe was not dealing with anybody else, which is a very naive way to think. It doesn't matter how attractive you feel you are and how much work you put on yourself. A man in his 50s is not going to settle down with one woman, especially one in his 20s, because that's more of raising her instead of being with her and growing with her. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of age gap relationships. I never have been. The majority of relationships of my own self have been, most of the women have been around my age or a little younger. I think the largest age gap of a woman I have particularly been with was, I want to say 5 years. 5 years. When I met her, she was 27 and I was like 32. But again, we were both adults at that particular time. And then now, back to bringing to the topic of the video, Shannon Sharpe had another warning from Monique.
Dating. What advice? If somebody, if a group of women were in here and they're like, come on, they talk to us. How this dating thing? Because it's Mo is different now than when you and I.
It's different, baby. I'm grateful. I'm not.
Now, when I hear it's different now, I'm not sure if you guys have ever watched the show 60 Days In. There was a young Black kid on there, actually a young Black man. He was in there and he was talking to an older Black man who's been in and out of the system, and he was talking about how racism is over with, all this other kind of stuff. And, and the Black man had to tell him, the older Black man had to tell him, he said, look, I feel sorry for you. I don't want you to go through this stuff because, my son got hemmed up by the police and I was scared to death. He said, this stuff is definitely out here. And he was pretty much preaching to that young kid to make sure, hey, you cannot be walking around these streets naive like this. This stuff is still definitely out here. It's still going to impact your life on a daily. So whenever I hear Shannon Sharpe talking about, oh no, it's different out here, it is not different. In this particular time, this is in between the Trump eras when you had these interviews, where the activities of the Pale Nation or the Clear Nation or whatever you want to call them, they were more low-key hidden. The agendas were still there. However, Shannon seemed to be brainwashed. And I noticed that with a lot of older black men and sometimes black women too, that after a certain age, it feels like they think the fight is over and we can all just be kumbaya. And not to get too much into a whole entire, political tirade about this kind of stuff, I really do think that, Mr. King, Dr. King, did more damage than good when he preached integration and acceptance and forgiveness instead of equalization and justification and things of that nature. Anyways, let's continue.
56 and trying.
You trying to say what you trying to say?
I'm looking right at you.
I know you looking at your
I ain't backing down. You better take your old ass and get somebody to love you.
Damn, Mo.
Now I'm looking right at y'all. Let me tell y'all what Shannon needs.
Let me live my life.
Let me tell you what my baby needs. He need him an old fat gal who can bake good cakes, make some smothered turkey wings, who gonna rub his feet at the nighttime, okay, and gonna have a sip of his cognac to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon needs. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl. This is your auntie talking to you. Take your
If only she knew. If only she knew.
old ass and get you an old bitch out there that can love you old. You trying to hang out with these young bitches and you can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it. When they want you to go for the 4th round, you looking at her like, bitch, listen, you want some money to go to Starbucks?
Yeah,
because I can't go no further. But if you get your older girl, when you get to that 4th round, she's gonna say, hold on. Let me go get you some eggs and cheese and some toast with apple butter, because that's going to get your energy back up. I'm talking right to you. Shit. So he thought I was going to be scared. Yes, I'm talking. And I know an old gal, she'll be good to you. Her name is Elladora. Now, when you know somebody named Elladora, she's old school. Now, Miss Elladora told me to tell you. She said, I think he like red velvet.
Oh, I do.
I said,
You know what? I'm starting to think that red velvet is like a universal black cake. I do not know a single black person that does not love or like red velvet cake. Now, with that being said, though, I'm pretty sure if this video gets seen by quite a few people, they're probably like, well, I don't like it, yada, yada, yada. But the majority of people that I know like or love red velvet cake, the real red velvet cake, not the chocolate cake that's dyed. I'm talking about the red velvet cake that made with a little vinegar and stuff like that. It's delicious.
say, Miss Elladora, if you do like that, she said, you let him know I got something for him.
Yeah, I like
she
red
don't
velvet.
have no teeth. Come on, pick your glass up and clank up for me.
I love
Come
red
on now.
velvet. I
These
love
young
red
gals will bite you. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, apparently Shannon Sharpe likes it rough like that, so that's why he probably likes the young guys, because they'll bite them.
Okay, I gotta come on home.
Come on home, Shannon. And y'all stop putting lies out about my brother, because I was in my feelings when y'all said he didn't date black women. Y'all stop that shit. You stop it. Now, he might throw a white one in there every now and again. And it's okay. It's okay. Because sometimes, we ain't into everything.
We're into everything. You see, she's speaking like she knows what's going on, but really doesn't. But here's the thing about that. Shannon Sharpe had a thing for white women this whole entire time, and nobody knew. I didn't know. I didn't care. He clearly had or has, black daughters and things of that nature. But what I've noticed is, and I know his ex-wife is black. What I noticed is, though, when it comes to some black men, some white men, things, it's people in general. Let's put it that way. We'll dip and dabble in other races. But when it comes to trying to build a family, normally we will marry our own. So I have never met a woman that has never really been with a black man or thought about it. Same thing with white women. They may have tried it, they don't like it, etc. But it's one of those things. They may dibble and dabble, but the majority of the time, they tend to marry their own. So even though Shannon Sharpe is out here dibbling, dabbling in younger, different races, things of that nature, again, I don't fault him for it. And I don't necessarily feel bad. I feel disappointed more than anything else. How can you be a man that's 56 years old? You've seen all sorts of stuff. You have experienced firsthand mistreatment, misrepresentation, even though sometimes you play into the stereotypes, whatever. You've seen all that. You've seen all the protests and fights and things of that nature, and you still choose to give away your hard-earned money to a young, I'm not sure if she's a Hispanic white woman or just a straight white woman, and you know, offer her $10 million. And I get it, $10 million is a lot, will save you more money in the long run, especially if you have $100 million deal around the corner. I'm not gonna say I dispute that logic, but that's money that's going outside of our community that's not going to help us at all. And that's the disappointing part about it.
Don't do everything. So sometimes Uncle Shay Shay need a spice of life.
Wait a minute, hang on. Let's back that track. I never noticed that before. Hang on, let's look at that one more time.
Okay, because sometimes we ain't into everything. We don't do everything.
I never noticed that look before. This whole entire time, I never noticed that look when she was saying that. He was like, see, she's speaking truth. So he was telling on himself even back then. I just never paid attention to it. Hang on, let's back that up one more time. Let's go a little bit further back this time.
Come on home, Shannon. And y'all stop putting lies out about my brother because I was in my feelings when y'all said he didn't date black women. Y'all stop that shit. You stop it. Now he might throw a white one in there every now and again. And it's okay. It's okay. Because sometimes we ain't into everything. We don't do everything. So sometimes
You know, I seen that interview before. I probably watched it 2 times. I did a reaction on it a while ago. I never noticed that before, but then again, I wasn't really looking for that before. Huh, that's very interesting.
Uncle Shay Shay need a spice of life.
Yeah, see? There you go.
He need to go across the street, but he always gonna come back. That's all we saying to you, open Tyler. Come on home. Come on home. Come on home. Come on.
All right, I'm done with that for now. But that's this thing, though. I'm a firm believer that the universe will tell you what you need to know. They will tell you when you're going in the wrong direction, and they might not directly tell you to your face in the way you want to hear it. But you got to be open to listening to the messages of the world. And the messengers were 2 of his most popular interviews of 2024, I believe, which is the Katt Williams interview and the Monique interview. 2 of his most popular interviewees. Pretty much told him why he was messing around with his younger white woman. Hey, these white women could take you down. Hey, he may dibble and dabble, but you need to come back home and get away from these young girls and deal with somebody around your own age. He was being told directly what would happen, but he chose not to listen. And let's say if you did want to dibble or dabble with a younger girl, I know plenty of men out there that do it, but you don't make it a serious commitment. And a man who is an NFL player, who has probably had hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of women, I'm surprised he doesn't know that. And now, whatever money is going to be exchanged, he lost. And what I mean by that, even though he's most likely going to go to court, if they don't come up with a magical number that Busby will finally accept, he lost. He lost on a lot of endorsements. He lost on a lot of opportunities, like this $100 million deal, all because he couldn't let go of a younger white woman. And let's just take the white part out. This is a younger woman. Sometimes you gotta know when something's just a fling and let it go. Now, I know there was the messages and everything like that, and I'm not going to talk about that because I don't kink shame. I do think when I listen to it, I feel like there's normally a safe word for the stuff that they do, that they partake in. And I don't think we got the full context of the messages that was put out there, even by Shannon Sharpe. I think there's a lot missing. If it does go to court, we're going to see it all, unfortunately, and hear it all. But it is what it is, though. But you know, one thing I found very interesting, Nick Cannon kind of talked about this too. This was like 7 or 8 years ago, before COVID. Nick Cannon was talking about he was going to make a consent app. And with the consent app, it's like, hey, you press this button on this app, I press this button on this app, we both consent, and you know, whatever happens, yada yada yada, right? And at the time when I first heard about that, it was a Vlad TV interview, and I was like, that's kind of dumb. I mean, why would you need something like that? But I didn't take into context of thinking like these people are multimillionaires that have a lot to lose. That probably receive lawsuits on daily. I wouldn't be surprised that 25% of their revenue or income is spent on lawyers and fighting frivolous lawsuits and selling outside of court. So I looked up the Consent app. I think it was spelled CNCNT app. I didn't see anything about it. So who knows? He said he was putting money into it. Maybe it was a lost investment, but it feels like something like this, Shannon Sharpe should be a spokesperson of. Maybe they could give him another endorsement after this point. Where'd it go?
Do you have a new app?
Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I have the Consent app. It's an amazing concept from what we were talking about earlier. And it's funny, like when you hear the Consent app, you think like it's to protect men. And you think, like, oh, you got people like, man, you about to sell this to the NBA, the NFL, you about to make all kind of money. That's not why I created it. Now it's Consent, it's CNCNT. That's how you actually spell it. Like, and it stands for consensual and contractual and tested. So it's actually the C, C, and the T is to make sure it's actually to protect women. And that idea, because women are getting put in these very uncompromising situations. So imagine if you had an app with, whether it's some eye sensor recognition or something where you say, this is me, and I am having consensual sex with this other person, and I understand their history, I understand that our level of intoxication, and therefore we can operate. So it's protecting yourself. The same way you put on a condom, I'm gonna push this button on my phone, you push the button on your phone, and it's consensual. And and it's so many things like your consent history. How many people have you consented with, and at what point did you do this? And it's like a Carfax for like your sexual life. So we've broken it down, and I have all my lawyers on it to where they've built the paperwork. So this stuff will stand up in court to protect women as well as to protect men, to protect anybody that's engaging in sex.
You have a new app.
And here's the thing about this. Hearing that now, and it's a Black TV interview from like 7 years ago. I'm pretty sure you can find it, where Nick was on there talking about the whole entire Consent app and things of that nature. If that app was popularized and used now, it may save Shannon Sharpe millions, because he's going to lose a lot of money. Not only his potential earnings, but his current state of money he has now, because he's only worth $14 million supposedly. They always say the celebrity's net wealth or income or whatever on the internet is wrong, but that's the only thing we had to go by off is $14 million. And he was really sacrificed all of that to get rid of this woman. This he could continue his potential of future earnings and everything that he's worked for. You gotta be careful who you stick it in, right? You gotta be careful the age you stick it in. I'm a firm believer, and this is just me personally, I can't go with anybody in their 20s. And I'm 40. I can't be with anybody in their 20s. They're too immature. They got too much going on. And I was thinking like that in my 30s. When I met the woman, I was 27. I was 32. I remember when she told me she was 27. I paused. I was like, ugh. And she was like, what? I was like, 27. Y'all normally have issues still. Y'all try to work stuff out. But, I gave her a chance. And there was some maturity issues there. However, I can't imagine me being 40, being with a woman who's 19. That would be a nightmare. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. If you did enjoy the video, if you found it informative, or this is a slightly different perspective, or the remembrance of Nick Cannon's CNCNT app, let me know what you think. Like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you. You guys have a great day.